All right, we are back from lunch, and we will continue on the regular agenda. Madam Clerk, item number 17.
Item 17 is from the Public Works Department to authorize the Board Chair and Deputy Director of Public Works to execute a cooperative agreement with Caltrans to provide quality assurance and oversight services for the development of the plans, specifications, and estimate for the State Route 4 Wagon Trail Realignment Project.
Mr. Boyer, is your item?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, so this is a very routine item. As you know, the Wagon Trail project is funded through COG with funds called State Transportation Improvement Program, or what we call STIP dollars. Caltrans rules and procedures require that if a local agency takes responsibility for delivering the plans and other bid documents, environmental permits, anything like that, on Caltrans' behalf, they have a reviewing role. The cooperative agreement defines what the county does and what Caltrans will do as the reviewer. So it's a very routine item that just defines roles and responsibilities. We will be back to you in the next 3 months or so. Originally, when that was negotiated, Caltrans wanted to be responsible for doing the land appraisals and acquisitions. That was not something that I thought was in the county's best interests for a variety of reasons. I think we will ultimately be able to obtain land rights quicker and more cost effectively if we acquire the appraisals and acquisitions ourselves. We need to hire the firm to do that work. Once we do that, we'll amend the cooperative agreement to deal with those land rights issues. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any board questions on this item? No? Open up for public comment. Is there any public comments on this item? Seeing none, bring it back to the board. Look for a motion.
So moved, Mitch. Go ahead.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion by Supervisor Mills, a second by Supervisor Oliveira.
Thanks.
Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you, Matt. Moving on to item number 18.
Item 18 is from the Sheriff's Office to authorize the Board Chair to sign the First Amendment Agreement with Amador County for the confinement of inmates at the Calaveras County Jail for a period of 1 year at a daily rate of $85 per day. Maximum potential revenue is $186,150,000 per year.
All right. Chris Hewitt, Lieutenant with the Sheriff's Office, and if you haven't heard, I'm now the new jail commander. So it took one of me to replace two of them, so I'm the lone commander in there. Anyway,
And that was a captain and lieutenant.
Anyway, so back to this. As you may know, July of last year, Amador County entered into a contract with us to supply 6 jail beds for housing services due to their inability to house a large number of inmates. With that, there's an 85-day per inmate cost. When we started this last year, we budgeted for the fiscal year 17-18 and also for this fiscal year 18-19, we budgeted a $60,000 revenue. When in fact, last year's fiscal year 17-18, we actually saw a revenue of $92,735. So as of this year, as of July of this year, we've already seen $6,715 revenue from July till October. This has been a beneficial partnership between both agencies and both counties. We receive the revenue from it, and then they're able to free up some bed space in their own jail by transferring their inmates over to us to look out after them. So with this, this is just going to be a 1-year extension, and from what I understand is we're going to reevaluate the cost after this 1 year to see if we need to increase the cost or not. So with that said, the Sheriff's Office recommends that we do extend this contract by 1 year until we can reevaluate it at the end of this period.
Any board comments?
Mr. Chair, I have a comment. Actually, a question. Lieutenant, thank you for coming over. How many beds do we have in our jail?
We have 160,
And we are filling how much of those beds with this contract?
6 beds. They're allotted 6 beds. And we tried to keep our, we're keep our population below 100 inmates, because once we hit that mark, we have to provide 24 hours medical service through CFMG.
So with our in-custody listings, we're at what number below 100?
We're averaging about 76 male inmates, and I believe it was about 25 female inmates per day.
So we actually have no more room for those standards for another agency to use our facilities, correct?
Not at this time, no, sir.
Okay. Do we look in the future that that might be a possibility?
There is talk about offering it up to other counties in the future, but at this time, because of the increased cost for medical care and having medical personnel on site 24/7, this is something we're going to look at, but not at this time.
Okay. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Supervisor Mills, your light's on.
Lieutenant, what's your break-even cost right now per bed?
Break-even cost per day. This figure was developed by Maria Hensey prior to her leaving, but our cost right now per day for our inmates is roughly $114 a day. So we're a little short in our revenue based on we charge amateur $85 a day, but we developed this cost based on recommendations and studies done by the DOJ U.S. Marshal Service. So.
Now, does this include a reciprocity agreement that if you need beds, they'll?
There is one bed, yes, sir. So there are 7 beds. We offer 6 beds, but there's a 7th bed for free. Should we need to just suddenly call them and say, hey, we need to house one of our inmates with you, there's no cost to us.
Great. Thank you.
Any public comments on this item? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I so move.
Motion by Supervisor Oliveira.
I'll second it.
Second by Supervisor Clapp. Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you. All right.
Madam Clerk, we're moving on to item number 19.
Item 19 is from the assessor to approve the Calaveras County 457 Deferred Compensation Plan Statement of Investment Policies and Guidelines.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Leslie Davis, Chair of the county's Deferred Compensation Plan Administrative Committee. A committee was created by board action in June of 2014. The board charged the committee with administering the plan and developing bylaws and an investment policy to bring back for board approval. The committee brought the bylaws back for board approval 2 years ago. In May, we approved the investment policy. We've been working on this policy for most of the last 4 years, having reviewed investment policies in other jurisdictions, and also working with our consultants to develop a policy that would have us acting in the best interest of the plan participants. We are recommending this statement of investment policies and guidelines to your board for approval.
Any board comments, questions? Seeing none. Any public comments, questions? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
So moved.
A motion by Supervisor Mills,
Second.
second by Supervisor Clapp. Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Moving on to item number 20, Madam Clerk, I believe this is your item.
It is. So from the Clerk of the Board of Supervisors, the introduction and waive reading of an ordinance reorganizing the Calaveras County Fish and Game Commission membership as recommended by the Clerk of the Board and the Fish and Game Commission, and to receive the Commission's 2018 annual report. So as directed by the board earlier this year, I've been doing a review of each of the 34 committees, commissions, and boards, and trying to identify areas in which we can help them to be more successful, whether it's do they need to adjust their membership, or do they need some help with the Brown Act and posting their agendas, that kind of thing. What we have found with the Fish and Game Commission is that the Fish and Game Commission is made up of 10 members, 2 from each supervisorial district. This group oftentimes struggles to have a quorum. They have been running at about usually 4 can show up, and they need a quorum of 6 to have a meeting. And they only meet between January and October of each year. After discussions with the commission decided and is supportive of recommending a change to the Board of Supervisors, which would reduce their number of members from 10 to 7. And that 7 would be made up of 1 representative from each supervisorial district and 2 members at large from anywhere in the county. We're also suggesting that because they are currently set for 1-year terms, so every year all the terms expire at once. So we are suggesting that we extend the terms to 2 years and that we stagger them accordingly so that they're not all expiring at once. I believe that the way we have it written is that districts 1, 3, and 5 would expire in the odd number years, and districts 2, 4, and the 2 members at large would expire in even numbered years. Because all of their terms of the current members are currently expiring on December 31st of this year, and they were formed by ordinance, we're recommending that we introduce and waive reading of this change today and then bring it back at a subsequent meeting so that when we advertise for these positions in the coming month, that we will be able to advertise for the new slated or new proposed membership. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
So are you proposing to start this out that the 1, 4, and the 2 at large only start their term for 1 year and expires at the end of 2019, and then
Yes.
1, 3, and 5 go 2 years?
Yes, the
Okay.
even number, the odd numbers would be for 1 year again. The even numbers would be for 2 years, and then the next December, we would catch up the odd number years to 2-year terms.
Just want to clarify.
Yes.
Supervisor Garamendi?
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you, Madam Clerk, for all your work on this. I've served on this commission before. I was on the Board of Supervisors, and I've been liaison for the last 2 years. These are needed changes, and I highly endorse us moving ahead with them.
Thank you.
Any other board comments? If not, we'll open for public. Any public comments on this item? Seeing none, we'll bring it back for a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion by Supervisor Clapp,
Second.
second by Supervisor Garamendi. Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to item number 21.
Item 21 is also from the Clerk of the Board of Supervisors, the appointment of applicants to serve on various committees, commissions, advisory boards, and county service areas. Today, we have 2 vacancies and 2 applications before you. The first is for a position on the Air Pollution Control Hearing Board. It's for a vacancy for a term expiring 12/31/20 for an engineer, and we have an application from Jim Heminger. The second is for the Parks and Recreation Commission. We have 1 vacancy for a term expiring 12/31/19 for a District 2 representative, and we have an application from Zero McDaniel.
Okay, so I guess we should handle this first. Does anybody have any objections to either of the applicants for these boards?
How many Parks and Rec commissioners do we currently have appointed?
We have 1,
Kevin.
and we have 1 representative from CCWD.
So this still won't give them a quorum, but
No.
So if we don't have any opposition for the applicants on either one of these, I guess we can take a motion to include all of them at once and go from there.
so moved.
So a motion by Supervisor Mills. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second by Supervisor Garamendi. Is there any public comments on this item? Seeing none, we'll bring it back. Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Moving on to supervisors' announcements. Madam Clerk.
In compliance with AB 1234, Chapter does Government Code Section 53232.3D, Board members shall provide brief reports on meetings they attended at the expense of the local agency at the next regular meeting of the legislative body. This report is required to include meetings attended for which there have been expense reimbursement, such as mileage, meals, lodging, etc., but may also, at the board member's discretion, include any other meeting attended by the supervisor on behalf of the county.
We'll start with Supervisor Clapp.
I have nothing to report out.
Okay, we'll go on to Supervisor Garamendi.
I have nothing to report out, especially since we have no budget, so can't get reimbursed for things. But I have nothing to report this time, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Oliveira.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On October 2nd, I attended the U.S. Forest Service meeting in Sonora regarding the over-the-snow vehicle program. And the Forest Service, this was the second of two public meetings. The meeting was attended by interested parties in the Stanislaus Forest area in Tuolumne County, Alpine County, Calaveras County. Representation from Congressman McClintock's office was there, along with other political groups, other politician groups. Well-attended, well-messaged information. There is going to be a decision on this. It's a very high-focused issue right now for our winter recreation. I must admit, in my district, in District 4, it's extremely important because of the increased wintertime visitors and the commerce along the Highway 4 corridor. Personally, I am in favor of not restricting any further lands, but also make known that the recreational ability of our forests are for everyone, skiers, snowmobilers, and we must have an equal balance of both. I did attend the East Bay Mud Party Barbecue on Friday, as well as some of our representatives here. That annual event, very informative, see what East Bay Mud is up to, and they've done a fine job. That's all I have to report.
Supervisor Mills.
Yeah, we had a guest appearance in Vallecito a couple days ago. And Governor Brown showed up and spent time with some of our local residents. And also attending the Pardee barbecue, had a chance to have a very long conversation with Steve Moore, who's one of the 5 members of the State Water Board. And rather interesting how he is looking at water and water banking and unimpaired flows. So it was just a real good, honest conversation, and I appreciated his time to be able to hear the local perspective. So that's all I have.
And I have nothing to report out that costs money to the county. So we'll go to the CAO. Lutz, you have nothing. County Council. Nothing to report. Madam Clerk.
I do. So just as I briefly mentioned during the item for the appointment of applicants, I just wanted to give you a heads up that in the coming weeks you will be receiving a list from me of the positions on the citizen boards, committees, and commissions that will have terms expiring at the end of this calendar year. And so my hope is that you will be able to drum up some applicants for us and drum them up. And applications can be obtained from my office. They can be obtained from you, as I will provide them to you. And they can also be obtained on their website.
Thank you. And with that, anything else? No? We stand adjourned.